What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel. You check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on Rich Paul and LeBron James, man, and just how I think that LeBron James is carrying Rich Paul. Not only is LeBron James carrying Rich Paul, but a lot of people in his circle he's carrying. Everybody in his circle is benefiting from the fact that LeBron James is who he is, and LeBron James play in the NBA, right? And these type of things, I think, is going to hurt LeBron James because anytime you put a team together, a business team or a sports team, you want to have the best people. You want to have the best people in your corner because LeBron James is not always going to be in a position where he can support he can support everybody. There's going to come a time in his career where he's going to need to be able to lean on Rich Paul's expertise or Rich Paul a field where he specializes in that is going to help them to move to the next level or help them get out of some tough times. And all I see Rich Paul now doing is making a whole bunch of just nonsensical statements. Like he's more so a mouthpiece for LeBron James than he is somebody who is, a mover or a shaker. Like when you have somebody who, like, take for instance, I don't know, I forgot the guy name who was Falk. His name was Falk. He was Michael Jordan's agent. He very rarely made say anything publicly, right? He mostly operated in the back, and he stayed in the shadows behind everything. But LeBron James has a way of putting this guy right here, Rich Paul, out there. And like I said, Rich Paul is just operating on the basis that LeBron James has the leverage right now because LeBron James is in the league. And once LeBron James' leverage go away, then Rich Paul, his inexperience and his lack of knowledge will be exposed, and then LeBron James won't be able to lean on him. And so this is a pattern that LeBron James has developed of putting people around around him and putting people in positions who are not qualified for the jobs that he put him in. For his son, right? Take example, his son. He put his son on the Lakers, knowing that his son is somebody who can help the Lakers out. Like there's no benefit to the Lakers of having Bronny James on there, even if you develop him and you wait for him to get or come to a point where he's qualified or he's an NBA player. He can't help the team out. It just would take too long to do that, right? Then when you take, he gave, what was the other guy who had no experience? JJ Redick. He gave JJ Redick the opportunity to coach the team. And JJ Redick had never had any coaching experience. Now, JJ Redick is not doing a bad job. Some people may even say he's doing a good job, but this just is an example of LeBron James putting people in position who are not already qualified, who are, he's taking chances on people, and these chances are going to backfire on him. And I think when it comes down to it, this is going to hurt LeBron James. This is a bad habit. You want to be able to help out your family. You want to be able to help out your friends. But if you do give them jobs or put them in positions, put them somewhere where they can be useful, somewhere where they can actually help you out, and you can actually you can benefit from having them on a team. Just, like I said, if you got somebody on your team and they're not helping you, then they're more so of a liability. And I think once LeBron James come to, once it comes time for LeBron James to retire, I don't know like what skills or what talents that Rich Paul had, what experience, what contacts. He didn't have to develop any of that because he was leaning on the fact that LeBron James was the most popular basketball player in the world, and he used that as leverage. He used that as leverage to get clients. He used that as leverage, to make deals around the league. But once that leverage is gone and you didn't take those opportunities to build relationships and show goodwill with other people around the league, then it's just like burning bridges, and so people are just waiting for the opportunity to, you know, to go back at Rich Paul and LeBron James and show them, who's really who really knows what they're doing. So I got some audio here, right? From Rich Paul was on the Pat McAfee show, and he said one thing that a lot of people are not really focusing on. And I want to, and I'm gonna point it out to you, but I'm gonna play the audio from when Rich Paul was talking to Pat McAfee. People are more so focused on when he said that like 10 or 12 teams was interested in LeBron James. But before he even get to that point, he says something else that I think was that proved, just what I'm saying, that Rich Paul is kind of delusional.
Are kind of just going into the world right now. From your standpoint, what's a realistic conversation about LeBron James, the 41-year-old man who's entering year 55 potentially, or retiring to a golf course?
Here's what I'll say to you, Pat. Believe nothing that's out there, because I haven't had one conversation with him. At the end of the season, I made it clear that I would respect he and the family, because this is going to be a family decision for him. This is not, look, I went on to build a business that will do great long after LeBron retires, and so I'm not dependent of that at all. And Maverick has done the same thing.
All right, so what he said right there, Rich Paul said he's went on to build a business that will go on even after LeBron James retire, right? And that's not true. He said also with Maverick Carter, that's not true, right? And the reason why I think that that's not true is because, like I said, they haven't built any type of relationships or any type of goodwill. Recently, Rich Paul came out and said that he is losing clients because other agents are, they're talking bad about how he do business. So other agents will go to, clients, and they'll say, you don't want to work for Clutch Management or Clutch Sports, because Clutch Sports, they don't put their clients first. It's mostly based on, like LeBron James is their number one client, and they will use you. Clutch Sports are going to use you as a pawn, right? Which in some cases, Clutch Sports have used their players as pawn in order to benefit LeBron James. So that's going to come back to bite them. They're going to get less and less new players, and then as the old players phase out, that's going to all that money's going to dry up. So he has not built a relationship or built a business that's going to be able to sustain once LeBron James is not playing. LeBron James don't have that leverage. That's just not true, because he didn't use his that time wisely. He just used leverage and power the lazy way, because they had leverage and power. Now that their leverage and power is kind of slipping, he won't be able to use that, right? And so that was the opportunity to build relationships. That was the opportunity to learn the business for real, so you know what's going on, so you can go into another phase once LeBron James, But LeBron James basically is just carrying Rich Paul. He's carrying Maverick. They're, all of their leverage is because LeBron James is still in the NBA and connected to the NBA, and that's it. That's it. So when he says, on the one hand, he admits it, because he admits that they're losing clients, even under the best of circumstances. Like David Falk, Michael Jordan's agent. Once Michael Jordan retired, David Falk, he kind of fell off a little bit. Now he's not, he's not struggling or anything, but like Michael Jordan, like that was the peak of David Falk's power. You got Michael Jordan, the number one client in the world, the number one basketball player in the world. He's with Nike, he's with the NBA. Mike was like a rock star. So he had Allen Iverson, and he had a few other really great basketball players, but he don't have what he had back, when Mike was out there. And he may not even, he's still a successful businessman. But like I said, I just use David Falk as an example, because even Michael Jordan's agent fell off a little bit. Then you had the next round of agents who come in with their number one draft picks and their their basketball players, because everybody didn't want to go under Michael Jordan. But you know, under the best of circumstances, it's hard to maintain and go into, you know, continuously get these basketball players, because some of these guys want to be represented by people that they feel comfortable with. Some people don't want to go with LeBron James and Clutch Sports, right? And so, you know, he's, like I said, LeBron James basically is just carrying Rich Paul, and it'll become more and more apparent that he's carrying Rich Paul once LeBron James retired from basketball. So that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, man, I'm gonna check y'all out in the next video. Peace.